So if you've made the decision that you'd like to give intermittent fasting a go, your next step is to set up a personalized plan for yourself. Before you do that, if you do have any serious health conditions, it may be worth talking to your doctor or whoever your health practitioner is that you see, just to get their advice is if that's appropriate for you. If you have blood sugar issues like diabetes, history of an eating disorder, if you're under 18, high intensity athlete, these are all factors that need to be considered. So it might be worth getting some advice with that, or if you're malnourished even and underweight. But if that's all good and you've got the go ahead, then the next step is to work out what your eating and fasting windows are going to be. What days you're going to do it on? Are you going to do it every day of the week? Are you going to do it some days of the week? How long you're going to do your eating and fasting windows? And also what time in the day are you going to do it? So my suggestion is to come up with a plan that suits your lifestyle. Personally, I find it much easier to do a longer fast on days where I work. I start work early, so I will sometimes eat at 12 or 2 p.m. if I've worked, and then I have a break, and then I do a workout, and then I eat after that. Because I'm occupied and I'm not just sitting there thinking about food, it's easy. And it's a good opportunity to drink lots of water in that time too. If you're, if it's on the weekend, I prefer not to fast, or sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't, as you have a little bit more time and it becomes a little bit harder because you're thinking about food and you like to do it socially. So just have a think about your day, how it works for you, the timing of meals. So depending on what your daily routine looks like, when you're going to actually get an opportunity to have a meal, if you skip one earlier or later, they're all factors that you need to consider and what your preferences are. So a good window to start with is, the most common one is the 16-8. And so that's 16 hours of fasting, including sleep generally, and then an 8-hour window where you are actually eating. But you want to ease into this. So perhaps that might be too much for you. Maybe you want to reduce the fasting period to 15, 14, 13 hours. Anywhere above 12 hours is probably reasonable. And then slowly increase that fasting period. You've got to listen to your body when it comes to fasting. This is very much a process of becoming a little bit more intuitive with your own body, understanding the signals that it's telling you. And we want to do it in a manner that we can stick with this. We want this to be a tool that we can use whenever we choose. So what I suggest is that you pick a timing, maybe pick a shorter timing, see how you go, and then you may increase it over time. Pay particular attention to your mood. Pay attention to your mental clarity, your energy levels, and adjust it based off that. If you're feeling dizzy, if you're feeling lightheaded, like you've got low blood sugar, a bit headachy, then I suggest that the best thing to do would be to have something to eat at that point. So the number one rule in fasting is, if for any reason you feel unwell, just have something to eat. Last thing we want to do is, faint or have low blood pressure, which can happen if you have blood sugar regulation issues. So ideally, you should be feeling lighter, you should be feeling more energized, more alert, better mental clarity, not sluggish or fatigued. So use those indicators in your body to work out whether you need to adjust the length that you're doing your fast. And always ease in at a sustainable level so that you can do this long term. Don't go too aggressively into it. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. You have to listen to your body. And also, another key thing to think about is coming out of your fasting window. So, what's the first meal that you're going to be having? We don't want to be eating junk food. You may be very hungry, and especially if you do a longer fast. I know myself, if I fast too long, I get ravenously hungry, and sometimes I can actually overeat, which defeats the purpose. So I want to make sure that I've got good quality nutrients in the food that I'm eating. And particularly it's important to have a good protein source at that meal and a good fat source, and try and keep it lower carb and lower sugar. And yeah, just don't eat too much too quickly, especially if it's a longer fast. Sometimes it might not react very well with your gut. So I recommend to just have a small little meal, maybe even some nuts or something like that, half an hour before you have a proper meal, and that will help to reduce those intense hunger feelings.